Okay, so we live in one of the most diverse regions in the country. We may not be able to offer translation services into all the languages of people who may be viewing this. We also acknowledge that we're using an artificial intelligence translation to fill in the language gap as well as we can. So if you are a member of an organization serving an immigrant community, we ask that you please provide a translation of the information we're providing this evening to the community you serve. Senator McNerney organized this town hall to provide useful and authoritative information to residents of his district who might be experiencing anxiety from recent federal law enforcement agency activity. I must emphasize, this is not legal advice, since every situation is different and the law may apply to your situation differently from other people's situations. This is basic information about what rights you have in dealing with the government. If you need legal advice, you must consult a licensed attorney who can understand your specific situation. This town hall is being live streamed on Senator McNerney's official Facebook page and will be recorded. The video will be available to view at your convenience on Senator McNerney's Senate website at sd05.senate.ca.gov. Your identity will not appear to us or anyone viewing on Zoom or Facebook. You will also be able to keep your identity private when asking questions. More about this later. We will be joined by Senator McNerney, followed by California Attorney General Rob Bonta. After them, we'll be joined by our expert panelist, Patricia Ortiz, Immigration Initiative Director from California Rural Legal Assistance, or CRLA, Sotea Program Manager for the Asian Pacific Self-Development and Residential Association, or APSARA, Maria Raya, Immigration Program Manager with Catholic Charities, and Jacqueline Gonzalez, Special Assistant Attorney General for Immigration. Attorney General Bonta will have to leave shortly after his remarks, but Ms. Gonzalez will remain with us. Our speakers will answer your questions at the end of all the presentations. Write your questions down as you listen to the speakers and type them into the question and answer or Q&A function on your screen. So please put up the Q&A screen now. Do we have the Q&A screen? Okay. So look for the Q&A icon. There we go. Look for the Q&A icon in the taskbar near the bottom right corner of your screen. Actually, again, it's near the one that you did for the CC button for your translation. After clicking this, you can type in your question, open the box. You may type in your question into the text box. Before selecting Send button, you can check mark Send anonymously. This will allow you to send your question without revealing your identity. Now, for this to work, you must make sure that button is checked prior to hitting send on your question. We'll answer as many questions as we can in the time that we have. So now I'd like to introduce Senator Jerry McNerney. Jerry McNerney was first elected to the US Congress in 2006, representing first the 11th, then the 9th Congressional Districts of California until January 2023. He was recently elected to the California State Senate to represent the 5th Senate District, which includes San Joaquin and Eastern Alameda counties. So Senator McNerney.
Well, thank you for the introduction, Gary. I want everyone to know that Gary has been with me for almost 20 years now, and he's very conscientious and reliable. If you need help on state issues, you can call our office and a staffer like Gary will be glad to help you. But I just want to say hello, everyone, and welcome to Know Your Rights Town Hall tonight. I'm Jerry McNerney, and it's an honor to serve you in the California State Senate. My staff and I decided to organize this virtual town hall because of the recent federal changes and actions on immigration policy. I've had to deal with immigration for many years now, and I've seen the issue blow up and I've seen it settle down. I've never seen anything quite like this before, so there's real urgency to make sure that people know their rights. In our state Senate district and throughout California, there are deepening concerns about immigration actions and some of the deportations we're hearing about. Our 5th Senate district includes all of San Joaquin County, and this is home to a large immigration community. Many folks are experiencing significant fear and anxiety due to recent ICE activities and rumors about their activities. With so many people unsure about getting accurate information, we felt it was imperative, absolutely essential, to put this webinar with experts that can help, including California's Attorney General Rob Bonta. We decided to gather on Zoom rather than in person to protect everyone's privacy. In this Zoom meeting, you will not be able to see other audience members. We are not collecting any personal data. Our Q&A allows you to ask questions anonymously. Lastly, Zoom will translate the webinar into over 30 languages to help close the language barrier. We will be having Attorney General Bonta. Attorney General is a longtime friend and a confidant, but I think we'll wait until he gets here. And again, I just want to stress immigration is an important issue. Our country was built on immigration by immigrants. California in particular has a huge immigration history. We should be very proud, and I'm very proud of the history that this brings to California and the culture that it brings to California. And so it's incumbent upon myself as an elected official to do everything I can to benefit the folks in our community that are working hard, whether it's in the fields picking fruits, in the farms, or in the restaurants, or whatever work is available. And I think America depends on this. So it's very hurtful to see what's coming out of the federal government. And here in California, we want to make sure that the folks that do this hard work have the protection of the California government. And to do that, what we did in the legislature was give the Attorney General's office significant resources above and beyond those that are normally used by that office, so that he can protect the people that reside here in California. And again, we have a very proud history and a record of achievement here in California. And a lot of that has to do with immigrants that have come to this country to contribute, to work hard, and to be good residents and maybe citizens of this country. So again, I want to make sure that we offer every bit of protection we possibly can in the face of what's happening in the federal government. And with that, what I'd like to do is turn the discussion over to our panelists, and I'm going to let Gary Prost take back and introduce our panelists in the order that's planned. And I hope that this session is helpful and useful to you, and I hope that you feel a little bit better after hearing what we're going to be able to present. Thank you, Gary.
Great. Thanks, Senator. Well, the Attorney General seems to be running a little behind right now. So we're going to go to our panelists for now, and we'll break in when the Attorney General arrives. So once again, you can submit your questions anonymously through the Q&A function, which we'll go over again after all the panelists have finished their presentations. We'll put the correct information or contact information for our presenters on the screen at the conclusion of the town hall. Now I'd like to introduce Patricia Ortiz, the Immigration Initiative Director with California Rural Legal Assistance. Ms. Ortiz.
Hi. Thank you, everyone. So today I'm going to be talking about know your rights in sensitive locations. And I think we're pulling up my slides. Okay, perfect. Can we go on to the next slide? Okay, so to start off, one of the most important parts to know about is your constitutional rights. Those rights are protections that apply to everyone, regardless of their immigration status. And so a lot of what we base on knowing your rights with immigration enforcement is based on your rights on based on constitutional law. So next slide. So we're going to talk about the Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment says it gives the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures, and they shall not be violated. So the key idea to keep in mind for this is that it protects your privacy. Next slide. So what this means is that police or immigration or law enforcement cannot search your home without a warrant. Your personal belongings cannot be searched without probable cause. Next slide. So when we talk about a warrant, it has to be a judicial warrant, not an immigration warrant. Here are an example of what they may look like. A judicial warrant is signed by a judge, which indicates that's an official document. An immigration warrant is usually signed by an immigration officer, which does not provide it the same rights as a judicial warrant. So for the Fourth Amendment, it's important that for any search or seizure, a judicial warrant has to be provided, not an immigration warrant. Next slide. The Fifth Amendment protects against self-incrimination, so it provides a right to remain silent and protects against double jeopardy. It ensures a due process of law. The key idea for the Fifth Amendment and what you want to remember is you don't have to testify against yourself. Next slide. And the Sixth Amendment, equally important, guarantees a right to a fair trial, speedy and public trial, and ensures a right to an attorney. The key idea for the Sixth Amendment is that it protects your rights during legal proceedings. And the only thing to keep in mind for immigration is you do have a right to an attorney, but unfortunately it's at your expense. So it's not government provided. Next slide. So what are my rights in sensitive locations? One of the changes that we saw with this administration is a rescinding of a memo that provided that ICE could not engage in enforcement actions in certain sensitive locations like churches, schools, hospitals. So what that means is that now ICE may be able to enter those spaces. So what are your rights? You don't have the same protections as you do in your home. So the police and immigration officials don't need a warrant to enter public areas in those sensitive locations, but they still need a judicial warrant to enter private areas in those locations. And remember, you still have your Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth Amendment rights. Those all still apply, even within sensitive locations. Next slide. So what are some examples of public versus private spaces? Public spaces within a sensitive area where no judicial warrant is needed to enter can be, for example, waiting areas, lobbies, courtrooms, maybe a parking lot or a church hall. Now, keep in mind, some of these places do require, may have extra security where someone needs to be buzzed in to enter, or maybe needs to have some kind of extra step to enter. In that case, those may be considered private spaces. Private spaces where a judicial warrant is needed to enter are areas that require permission to enter. So examples of that would be a hospital room, a classroom, maybe an office or judge's chamber. So those are places that can't be entered or shouldn't be entered unless there's a warrant. Next slide. So what do you do if immigration officers detain you when you are in a public space? Next slide. Remember your constitutional rights, right? You have the right to remain silent. You don't have to self-incriminate. You don't have to provide information that's going to be used against you to potentially detain you or put you in immigration proceedings. Next slide. And remember, you have a right to a lawyer. So for criminal defense cases, you have a right to a defense attorney at no cost. But for immigration cases, you still have a right to an attorney, but you have to pay the cost. Next slide. So in summary, if you're detained by immigration, you have the right to say, I'm invoking my right to remain silent and my right to an attorney. And you can say this in any language. So remember, regardless of your immigration status, constitutional rights apply. Next slide. The other thing to keep in mind is you can record police interactions. Next slide. Just make sure that if you are recording previous slide. If you are recording the police interactions, make sure that you are not obstructing the arrest or in any way obstructing the carrying out of the law enforcement's duties. This could lead to potential arrest or making the situation more difficult for the person being arrested. And then we're going to provide this information at the end, but this is how you can contact us if you need assistance. We generally at California Rural Legal Assistance, we assist with housing, benefits and health, employment, education, and any immigration areas that might be related to those priority areas. And that's it. Thank you, everyone.
Well, great. Thank you, Ms. Ortiz. I believe we have the Attorney General on now, Senator McNerney.
Yeah, thank you all. And it's my privilege to introduce Attorney General Abanta. And I just want to say he is one of the best and most effective attorney generals in the United States. He's certainly one of the hardest working. He's been tireless in his efforts to protect Californians and our state from federal interference. And the state legislature, as I said before, has given him extra resources to give him the resources to do his job of protecting California residents. As of early this week, Attorney General Abanta filed or joined in 18 lawsuits against the Trump administration on issues ranging from immigration to protecting our environment and restoring billions of dollars in health and medical care and grants. In recent months, Attorney General Abanta's office also created several helpful guidelines on protections in California law for immigrants. These guides provide a vital information, including that a person's immigration status can't be used to block them from accessing emergency medical care and housing, nor can it be used to discriminate or prevent children from attending school. The California legislature has long been committed to valuing and honor immigrants' communities to their economy, industry, society, and culture. Before introducing Attorney General Abanta, I want to note that he has worked in the public service for more than 2 decades. And before becoming the California's Attorney General, he served for 8 years in the State Assembly, representing parts of Alameda County. Attorney General Abanta, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, everyone. And thank you, Senator McNerney, for holding this town hall, for inviting me to join you. I'm grateful for your friendship, your partnership, and your great leadership for your district and for our state and for our nation. And grateful to be here to have the opportunity to talk about the work that we're leading at the California Department of Justice to protect our rights and freedoms and pursue justice for all amidst the challenges coming from the Trump administration. And I want to acknowledge the difficult time that many are having since President Trump took office over a little more than 100 days ago. I call it a very short and a very long 100 days. And I've spoken to many Californians up and down the state, workers and families and teachers, healthcare providers, immigrant rights advocates, and elected representatives. And what I've heard over and over in these conversations is a tremendous amount of fear, anxiety, confusion, worry, concern, and especially as it relates to immigrant rights and the treatment of our immigrant community. Understandably so, those feelings are natural. Sadly, I think it's pretty clear that that's also part of the president's strategy to flood the zone, to overwhelm us with a barrage of damaging, dangerous, and illegal executive orders and actions that impede on the laws and values that make America great and make America strong. While the Trump administration may intentionally create confusion, employ scare tactics, and spout off divisive and xenophobic rhetoric, I'm here to provide facts, reason, and assurances of California's nation-leading protections. Now more than ever, it's imperative that we make sure all immigrants and their families and those that serve them know the rights and protections afforded to immigrants under the law. Rights and protections I'm here to defend and enforce, starting with the right to citizenship for all people born on U.S. soil, regardless of their parents' immigration status. I sued the president after he issued an unconstitutional and frankly un-American executive order attempting to end birthright citizenship on his first day in office. The same day he was sworn in and held his hand up and swore to abide by the Constitution, he violated it later that day. A judge swiftly granted our preliminary injunction motion, blocking the unlawful executive order while our case proceeds. And let me be crystal clear. Birthright citizenship is a constitutional right. It's protected by the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, the citizenship clause therein, by the Immigration and Nationality Act, and affirmed by more than 125 years of precedent set by the highest court in the land, the U.S. Supreme Court. The president has overstepped his authority by a mile with this executive order, and we will hold him accountable. I want to assure you that my team and I are actively reviewing all of the many deeply concerning executive orders that the president has issued, including ones that bar asylum for people arriving at the border, suspend the refugee admissions program, and declare that migrant crossings at our border are a national emergency. We're also monitoring the rollout of his disastrous and inhumane deportation agenda, including ICE raids. The reality is California can't block federal agencies from conducting immigration enforcement lawfully, and we generally can't regulate or restrict ICE activities in public areas. However, California law SB 54 is very clear that except in certain narrow circumstances, state and local law enforcement cannot use taxpayer money to enforce federal immigration law. The federal government is free to do their job if they do it lawfully, but they can't force us to help them, to do their job for them. We're monitoring ICE raids and immigration enforcement to ensure they comply with the law. If you or anyone you know witness potential violations of the law, please report it to us at immigration@doj.ca.gov, immigration@doj.ca.gov. Before President Trump even took office, DOJ has been putting out resources and guidance on California's immigrant rights and protections, as the senator just mentioned. And we've been traveling around the state to share them with advocacy groups, community-based organizations, and public institutions. We've published Know Your Rights guidance on spotting and avoiding immigration-related scams, including notario scams that we know are a major problem. Resources to help ensure the educational rights of immigrant students and their families. Bulletins and guidance to assist state and local law enforcement agencies, prosecutors, and defense counsel in complying with state law, regardless of changes coming from the Trump administration. And information for public institutions like libraries, courthouses, public health facilities, and labor agencies on best practices in avoiding the use of state and local resources to support civil immigration enforcement. That's just a brief overview of everything we put together, all of which you can find, along with our other resources in Spanish and several other languages on our website at oag.ca.gov/immigrant/resources, oag.ca.gov/immigrant/resources. Angel Moreno on my team will make sure to share the link with you all today, and please pass these resources along to anyone who you think may benefit from them, who can use them. Again, if you see any potential violations of California immigrant rights and protections, please report it to immigration@doj.ca.gov, immigration@doj.ca.gov. We can't address what we don't see, so we want to hear from you. That's a lot to take in, I know. And this administration is a lot to take in. I know it's easy to become exhausted, maybe even sometimes hopeless. When you feel that way, when you feel like tuning out, looking away, giving up, I encourage you, I implore you, please stay engaged, stay focused. We need you. I grew up in the labor movement. I watched my parents work for the United Farm Workers of America alongside Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta. I watched them fight for fair wages, shade, water, and bathroom breaks. I watched them fight for a world where all people, no matter where they're from, have a real chance to go after their dreams, support their families, and give their kids a bright future. I saw firsthand how powerful we, the people, are when we stand united in a cause greater than ourselves, when we put us and we over I and me. Time and time again, history has shown that people power is the most potent power there is. Everyone has a voice, everyone has a role to play, government officials, journalists, community organizations, advocates, students, and voters. Right now, my role includes vigorously defending and enforcing our laws. I want you to ask yourself, what role can you play? How can you stay engaged? Maybe it's going to a march. Maybe it's attending a community meeting, following the news, talking about what's happening with your friends, family, and neighbors, sharing your opinion, never accepting the unacceptable or normalizing what's so abnormal, getting involved in a faith-based group, nonprofit, or community organization. I know so many people want to tune out, and I get it. Taking time for self-care is critical to getting through the next 4 years. But burying your head in the sand doesn't help anyone. Just because you turn away from the problem doesn't mean the problem goes away. So we've got to pay attention. We've got to stay engaged, stay enraged by the president's flagrant abuse of power and disregard for the law. And we've got to exercise our right to vote at every opportunity that it arises. As Attorney General, it's my job to defend our rights, protect our people, and enforce our laws. Right now, that means ensuring the President of the United States follows the law and taking action when he doesn't. In the last 15 weeks, I've had to sue the president 19 times. Our 19th lawsuit was just today, so it changes every day. Today we're at 19. Those lawsuits range from challenges to his unlawful tariffs that are hurting businesses and workers and families, especially those just trying to get by, challenging the unprecedented, unlawful, excessive power given to Doge and unelected private citizen Elon Musk. His attempt to claw back critical federal funds Congress already awarded to our state and local communities, including funds for our schools, Head Start, libraries and museums, and public health funding. We've challenged his attempt to dismantle AmeriCorps and turn away tens of thousands of volunteers who want to serve our communities, and more. The first 100 days are in our rearview mirror, but we still have a long way to go. As I look ahead, I'm optimistic and I'm not naive. The next 4 years are going to be challenging, no doubt about it, but they're not hopeless because we're not helpless. We aren't powerless, not as long as we stand together, not as long as we continue to put fact over fiction, belonging over blame, unity over division, us and we over I and me, not as long as we continue to fight for democracy and freedom and justice together. So thank you again for having me tonight. Hang in there, stay engaged, and remember, you're not alone. I want to make a few statements in Spanish. Los primeros 100 días han pasado, pero aún nos queda mucho camino por recorrer. Mientras miro hacia adelante, soy optimista, pero no ingenuo. Los próximos 4 años serán difíciles, sin duda, pero no sin esperanza. Nosotros no somos impotentes, no mientras nos mantengamos unidos. No mientras sigamos priorizando los hechos reales sobre la ficción, la unidad sobre la división, nosotros sobre yo. No mientras sigamos luchando juntos por la democracia, la libertad y la justicia. Gracias de nuevo por invitarme esta noche. No se rindan, no se desanimen y recuerden, no están solos. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you, Attorney General Bonta. That was informative and it was inspiring, and it was also a call for action. General Bonta outlined ways that you can get involved to help yourselves and to help the people you care about the most. And as the Attorney General mentioned, you can find information on immigration issues on the California Attorney General's website. In addition, a video recording of this webinar will be available on my Senate website after the event. My staff is also creating an immigration resources page. It's already on my website, but they're adding to it, and it is already available now. And with that, I'm going to hand this back to Gary to introduce our other panelists. Gary?
Great, thank you, Senator, and thank you very much, Attorney General Bonta. Now I'd like to introduce Soteya Program Manager with Apsara. Mr. Do we have you? Okay, Mr. you're on.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much for having me today, and this is an honor to represent our Cambodian community. Today, I to represent APSARA, stand for Asian Pacific Development and Residential Association. I think I saw that kind of like stuck right here, but if you could please put my slide on. Yeah, thank you so much. Can you please go to the next one, please? Thank you. So APSARA is a grassroots community based in Stockton. We are the membership organization serve the largest Southeast Asian community in Stockton as the last affordable housing property collectively owned by Cambodian refugees in the US. APSARA provides space, leadership, and infrastructure for the community effort, including immigration services, healthcare access, youth development, and our partnership with other local school, temple, church, and government for other social. Go to the next slide, please. So for the purpose of today, I would like to share more about our litigation services and other services that we have in our the Welcome Center or APSARA Center. So first is the citizenship help that we helping the community to apply for citizenship by helping them fill out the form, prepare for the mock interview, refer them to legal services at need, and also helping them to learn about US history and refer them to other health services if they need for the exam, and also helping them with the fee as well. For the second one, we also provide partner with other organizations like IOLC and other legal services to provide legal support and helping with the community member that need the DACA, or also the fighting their deportation case, and also need other services. The next one is the community education. We also partner with the partner like today with Honorable Julie McNerney to do this kind of workshop, Know Your Right, but we also hoping Know Your Right in our community center as well. So please look out to our website and our Facebook page. We're gonna host Know Your Right in the next coming month. So please join us. Other service that we provide is the health and social services. We focus on other barrier that marginalized community have faced, similar to the Cambodian community faced in Stockton or Silicon County, which they need a lot of language support, transportation support, and also other coordination services in order for them to get into services. So APSARA provide those services as well. And last but not least, we also provide youth and family services for the community, such as tutoring program, after school program, and other youth leadership program. Yeah, please, next slide, please. So this is our contact information that you can contact me. It's my name again, Sotiong. I'm a program manager at APSARA. It's at my phone and my email. And I will know that this is going to be available online on the website of the Congressman Julie McNerney as well. So please contact to us and be happy to support you. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm having a little trouble. There we go. Thank you very much, Mr. O. And now I'd like to introduce Maria Raya, Immigration Program Manager with Catholic Charities. Ms. Raya?
Thank you, Gary. Thank you, everybody, for attending today. Thank you, Senator McNerney, for inviting us to be a part of this town house. I think we have a lot of people that are afraid, and I want to make sure that you know that there are agencies like ours, the Catholic Charities Diocese of Stockton, that are here to support and answer their questions. So at Catholic Charities Diocese of Stockton, we are a Department of Justice recognized organization, which allows us to be able to provide free and low-cost immigration services. So today I will be talking about know your rights and like preparing for family situations in case that there would be a deportation or a detention from ICE. Next slide, please. So some of the services that we provide are naturalization or citizenship. We provide with permanent residency. We do renewals, family petitions, and that includes adjustments of status and consular processes. We do extreme hardship waivers as well, DACA renewals, affidavits of support, and we also provide support with citizenship mock interviews for those people that do have an interview pending and they would like to have that additional support so it's not the first time that they hear it. Our main office is located in Stockton, but we do serve 6 counties. That's San Joaquin, Stanislaus, Calavera, Alpine, Mono, and Tuolumne. If anybody needs to contact us, you can go ahead and reach us at that number. This number is our immigration line. The information will be provided with the slides. Next slide, please. So in preparedness plan, we will be discussing this in terms of if you were to be detained by ICE, you would want to make sure that you have something in place for your family, including your children. Next slide. So a family's preparedness plan, what is it? How do you start? You can start by having a trusted adult that can care for you, your child, if you cannot. So that's identifying someone. Things that you can do to identify this person. Ideally, this person is going to be a U.S. citizen and they can take care of your children. It should be somebody that you trust, somebody that you can have communication, that you have access to this person. You make sure that the person will be listed as an emergency contact, memorize the person's phone number, and have your children memorize it as well. Have a hand emergency numbers, contact information, and a file with important documents. So you should have all of these things ready, similar to you would for a natural disaster, making sure that you have copies of civil documents, birth certificates, passports, IDs, marriage certificates, anything that you will eventually need, you should have a copy for yourself, and also have a copy somewhere where you're going to be able to locate it. Either a family member might be able to get that for you, or you have like a digital copy that maybe your attorney may be able to access. Plan in advance. If you want your child to accompany you to your home country in the event that you do face deportation, you make arrangements for a trusted adult to take care of your child. If you decide to leave them in the U.S., making sure that you're making plans for that. Where are they going to stay? Are they going to be able to take care of them? Are they going to have access to their school information, to the medical doctor? And make an informal or formal arrangement for your child's care in California, and we'll discuss that a little bit further. Next slide, please. I think that you have to start also by talking to your children about your plan. So without worrying them, assure your children that they will be taken care of. If for some reason you're unable to care for them, let them know who will care for them. I think it's important that you create maybe like a family password to make sure that they know this is a person that will be contacting you, and maybe they have a password in case that person's not able to pick them up from school. So I think that it's important that even though you make sure you have identified someone, you have a backup plan in case they're not able to. And I think that having a emergency like family password that your children will memorize, it's important to do that. Next slide, please. Picking them up from school. So making sure your children know who can pick them up from school, who can't pick them up, and who will take care of them. Make sure the school is updated with emergency contacts and names of people who can pick them up. Write down instructions in if your child has a medical condition or takes any certain medication. Next slide, please. An informal plan. So we'll discuss a little bit about plans. The informal plans for childcare is just a verbal agreement that you would have to have with someone. It doesn't require any forms or legal documents. But the adult children will not have any legal authority to make any medical or school related decision. This would be in case of you already have maybe like a grandparent that's already in the school that can already collect them or can make sure that they can take them to the doctor. Again, there are other ways to make formal plans. Next slide. So formal plans for childcare. A caregiver's authorization affidavit or a CAA. This will allow caregiver to make certain school and medical decisions, and it does not affect your parental rights. It's only for California. It does not need to be notarized. This is something that you're doing in writing. We do have a copy of a formal plan, and I'm pretty sure that they will also be providing those as well on the website. These are just things that you have to list, making sure you're authorizing information about their medical. But again, it does not affect your parental rights. Guardianship. Guardianship, this is a court-appointed guardian for your child. The child's caregiver will have full legal and physical custody of your child. It's important to note that if this is the route that you will be taking, it's important to speak with an attorney before taking this space, because again, it would leave you without having your parental rights. This is something that can later on sometimes be reversed, but again, it would have to be in the court system. So please do speak with an attorney before taking these steps. And a note of power of attorney in California, it cannot be used to transfer custody of your child to another person. So only a state court can do that. You can't just, give away your parental rights to a certain individual. Courts do have to be involved. Next slide. And then if you want to do even more, you make sure that your child has a US passport. You want to make sure that they are going to be able to travel if you choose to have your children accompany you or join you if you were to end up deported in your home country. You make sure that you register your child's birth with your country's government. And if your child was born in the United States, and that you can go ahead and do that at the consulates of your birth country. And then inform your family and emergency contacts about how to find you if you are detained by ICE. The website usually is located at ice.gov, and we'll be sharing that as well on how to identify you. But also have a plan for how can somebody find you? Is there an attorney that may be able to support you? I know those things are like to shop for an attorney ahead of time is kind of a little bit daunting, but at least have a phone number, give information to whoever is going to be supporting you, any family that may be able to help you with gathering that information. It's beneficial. Next slide. And so I guess that's my end of my slide, sorry. But I do want to go ahead and discuss real quick some information about social media and sharing. So part of the preparedness plan is also making sure that when you are sharing information on social media, you avoid sharing your location, updating like school information from your children, making sure you're not sharing your immigration status. I know some people like to share where their home country is from, but at this time, making sure that you're not oversharing and not sharing your addresses, phone numbers, just trying to make sure that, you're not going to be located. Unfortunately, social media is a way that people are looking to look for you and see where you're at certain places. And if there's an ICE trying to detain you, they're looking for public spaces. So just as a note, making sure that social media, you're avoiding sharing all of the location or anything that may lead to them finding where you are located at that certain time. And that is the end of my presentation. I'm sure that you'll have more questions in our Q&A. Thank you.
Well, great. Thank you very much, Ms. Raya. Very good information. So now I'd like to introduce our last panelist, Special Assistant Attorney General on Immigration with California Department of Justice, Jacqueline Gonzalez. Ms. Gonzalez?
Hi, good evening to everyone. Thank you, Gary, and thank you to the Senator for this kind invitation. I'm Jackie Gonzalez, Special Assistant Attorney General, and I would like to build a little bit on some of the remarks that the Attorney General provided at the beginning of this webinar and share a little bit about what California has been doing in more depth. So if we can move to the next slide, please. So as the Attorney General mentioned, in December of 2024, we recently updated immigration model policies for public agencies in the state. And the reason that we did this is SB 54, what is known as the California Values Act, actually calls for the Attorney General to develop policies to ensure that public institutions remain accessible and safe spaces for the immigrant community. So with an eye to that, we have updated since December 2024 model policies for all of the institutions that you see listed on this slide. I will note that pursuant to SB 54, the first line of the slide, superior courts, healthcare facilities, and public schools are required to adopt model policies that limit immigration enforcement activities at these institutions. I want to be very clear that none of this guidance suggests that any impediment to we cannot get in the way of federal immigration enforcement, but we are obliged to make sure that the rights of individuals are protected. As an earlier panelist shared, there has been, this administration recently rescinded what is known as the Sensitive Locations Memo. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, the Sensitive Locations Memo was essentially a directive that ICE and immigration enforcement agencies would not generally conduct enforcement at places that we deem to be sensitive locations, such as schools, churches, courthouses, healthcare facilities, and there's a separate actually memo on courthouses. But with the rescission of that memo and also the rescission of a memo on courthouses, these model policies and guidance become all the more relevant. And even though these were developed before the rescission of that memo, a lot of the rights articulated in these model policies are really premised on the Constitution. And the Constitution applies to all immigrants, regardless of their status. And as someone shared earlier, the 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendment apply. And in the case of protection surrounding accessing public institutions, they are very critical. I won't go into all the details of what these guidances say, but at a very high level, they do 3 things, all of them. They outline relevant federal and state protections for individuals seeking to access these institutions. They provide policy recommendations for these institutions for how to comply with both federal and state law and to mitigate disruptions from immigration enforcement activities. And finally, they list model policies that an institution can adopt. We're often asked for guidances on specific agencies or locations that you don't see listed here. And while we don't have a model policy for every type of institution, a lot of the guidances, you will see that there is some repetition across them because, again, they are rooted in constitutional rights. And so we really encourage those institutions that are not required, but that choose to adopt a policy to use these as a model and to identify which one may most closely fit the institution. And if we can move to the next slide, please. And the second area of work that I wanted to delve deeper into, the Attorney General mentioned one of our most important lawsuits, the birthright citizenship lawsuit, which was filed essentially on day 1 of this administration to protect birthright citizenship in this country. There are other ways that our office engages in litigation. It does so through something called amicus briefs. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, an amicus brief is literally a legal document that is a friend of the court. It essentially gives people who are not parties to a case, who are not the plaintiff or the defendant in a case, the opportunity to file a brief with the court to share a perspective that the court may not be aware of, that may be critical or important to the decision or the outcome of that case, and that they would like the court to consider. So California, since Trump took office, has done that on a number of occasions. And I want to, at a high level, the cases are listed here. So we've done that so far in 6 cases related to immigration issues. On TPS, which is temporary protected status, it's a status that is given to individuals on a temporary basis from a variety of countries, usually people who have fled significant, dangerous political conditions, economic or political turmoil, and it's dangerous to return to that country. Our government has for decades designated temporary protected status for individuals from at least over 20 countries. This administration has attempted to terminate TPS early for a variety of countries, including in the very early days of the administration, Venezuela and Haiti. And so our office filed amicus briefs in 3 instances to inform the court of our interest as a state in protecting the communities who have this status, the important contributions that TPS holders make in the state of California. And the 2 other instances where we have filed amicus briefs are one on the student visa revocation. You may have seen in the news that the administration has revoked the visa and terminated what is called the SEVIS record for over thousands of individuals nationwide and hundreds here in California across both private and public universities, which has significantly impacted the opportunity to complete their studies. So we filed a brief in that case explaining again California's interest in this issue and in the student population, as well as graduate researchers, and in some cases even faculty. We also participated in as amicus in 2 other cases dealing with refugee suspension. So this is individuals who are have been granted the possibility of coming to the U.S., but are being denied entry because the Trump administration has attempted to stop the admission of the refugee program writ large. And then the final one is humanitarian parole, which is a different type of lawful status for individuals, again, fleeing really terrible conditions in their home country and who have been granted lawful entry into this country. This administration has also attempted to terminate those programs early. So without getting too much into the weeds on any of these particular cases, we know that that Senator Nerny's district has a very significant immigrant population, and we felt we wanted to highlight these for you because it is something that folks are seeing in the news, and wanted you to know that in addition to tracking all of the executive orders, in the instances where we are unable to bring a lawsuit, we do take advantage of the opportunity to weigh in and express California's deep commitment and interest in making sure that all immigrants are protected. Thank you.
There we go. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Attorney General, or Assistant Attorney General Gonzalez, Maria Raya, Sotea Ung, and Patricia Ortiz for the important information you provided. Now we'll present your questions to the panelists. Can we get that Q&A screen back up? Oh, great. Okay, it's up. Okay, once again, to ask a question, look for the Q&A icon in the taskbar near the bottom right of your screen. After clicking this, you can type in your question. Once open, you may type your question into the text box. And before clicking the send button, you can check mark send anonymously. This will allow you to ask your question without revealing your identity. If you don't want your identity to appear, be sure the send anonymously box is checked prior to hitting send. We'll answer as many questions as we can in the time that we have. So let's see, the first question, are churches and other places of worship sheltered from ICE or any other federal law enforcement?
I can answer that one. So churches were part of the sensitive locations memo that was just spoken about, which generally meant that ICE was not carrying out enforcement actions in those spaces. Unfortunately, that memo has been rescinded, which means that theoretically ICE could engage in enforcement actions in churches. But as we spoke about when I talked earlier, constitutional rights still apply. And really, what you have to think about is some spaces in the church may be considered private versus some may be considered public. And as we said, with those spaces that are considered private, they would need a judicial warrant to enter those spaces. Spaces that are open to the public, there's difficulty in saying that those are not public. The other thing is that there are lawsuits that are ongoing right now to try to fight this. There was some success earlier this year, but unfortunately, they were limited to specific places of worship. And I believe that there might actually be a case that was filed recently that's trying to expand the injunction to more spaces that are considered sensitive. So the answer is it depends a little bit on what area of the church you're talking about.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I have another question. As a CSU, Cal State University faculty member, I have non-citizen employees with work visas. The university retains their original visas, providing the photocopies instead. These colleagues report being accused of using fake documents and experiencing delays at the border upon re-entry with these photocopies. With official documentation, should employers provide, with what official documentation should employers provide to visa employees to prevent such issues with Border Patrol? Anybody can take that. I guess maybe we need to have somebody, if you want to send that to our office, we can.
I think Patricia was answering
Yeah,
that.
Oh, I didn't
I was
hear.
gonna say, sorry. I think, yeah, I think that's something that probably needs a little bit. I was gonna suggest the same thing. Probably needs a little bit more analysis, because unfortunately, we are seeing, increased scrutiny at the border, and even with official documents, that may not be something that could prevent delays and secondary inspections. So maybe it's worth sending the information to your office and seeing if there's any additional support you can provide.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, please contact our office. We'll see if we can point you in the right direction. It would probably be to your federal representative, but yeah, go ahead and let us help you out with that one. So the next question, are school principals, teachers, or staff required to give ICE agents permission to enter private spaces like classrooms? Are there entry requirements for other private spaces?
I can go again.
Okay.
Yes. So for private spaces, generally there's a need for a judicial warrant. So we provided an example of what a judicial warrant versus an immigration warrant is. For immigration officials to be able to enter those private spaces in schools, they should have a judicial warrant. And making sure that it specifies where they're going to be looking and maybe if they're looking for someone specific. So yes, there's more protections within the private spaces of the school that need to, and rules that need to be followed in order to allow access to those spaces.
And just if I may add on,
Mhm.
Gary, everything that Patricia mentioned is correct. But to go back to the guidances that we outlined, the K-12 guidance actually shows samples of the different warrants that Patricia mentioned, as well as subpoenas, because sometimes it's not just physical access that's being requested, but it's a request for documentation, right, or information about a student. And there's a host of different ways that someone is required to respond depending on what document is being used to make the request. And so there's warrants in the case of physical access, and it's important to distinguish between judicial and administrative warrants. And then in the case of information, personal information about an individual, that could be requested through a subpoena. And again, there are distinctions between what type of subpoena. And so I would direct the person who's asked that question to our guidance. I think it does outline, I mean, obviously every case, you should always seek, individual legal advice. But I think that the model policies provide an outline for many of the scenarios that one might contemplate where there could be enforcement, either physical or again, for information.
Would you say that that's a policy that the district should work on?
Districts
there-
are required, all schools are required to adopt model policies pursuant to SB 54. They don't have to be the exact, policy, but there must be a policy.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Let's see. What rights do undocumented workers have if they are being mistreated, underpaid, or injured on the job? That's not specifically what this town hall is about, but I think it's a reasonable question to ask.
Yeah, and I can step in for that one as well. So, immigrant workers have rights to get paid, and so if they aren't being paid or if they're being mistreated, they can file complaints with the labor agencies. California, we have pretty robust protections. So regardless of their immigration status, if they're injured in the workplace or if they aren't being paid for their work, they should be able to file and receive services if that's occurring for them.
Okay. Move on then. Oh, I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
Gary, I did paste something into the chat to build on what Patricia shared. Yes, there are many laws in California protecting immigrant workers. Specifically, there's AB 450, and we actually just recently updated guidance on that issue. And so I've pasted that in the chat for the community's reference. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay. 4 men show up at my door and demand to come in. They say they have a warrant. What do I do?
I can go ahead and take that one, Gary. So, if people or ICE is showing up at your door, first of all, if you don't know who they are, you can ask to have them identify themselves, making sure you ask them if they can identify themselves to show you a badge, show you any type of information that they may have. They may or may not provide this information to you. The second thing you always have to do is do not open the door. Do not open the door. Making sure that you ask for a warrant if there is a warrant. If they do have a warrant, they can go ahead and slip that through the door, or they can show it to you through the window. If you're gonna go, if they do have a warrant, make sure that you're looking for information on there that it is a court order warrant. So you have to make sure that there says it's court order, that it has your information on there. Does it have your name? Does it have, what date is it? Is there a date? Is it 16 days or 14 days after? Making sure that you know what it's for, if it's, for you, for not. And then you have the right to remain silent, right? You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to ask for an attorney. ICE may or may not, make their way into your home. And there's a lot of information and videos, and we have a lot of information that we can go ahead and provide if those were the cases. There's a lot of scenarios that may happen, but I think the first to remember is that you have rights. And that's important. So I hope that answers the question.
Does anybody else want to have any comment on that? Okay, let's see. Do you have any information on how far ICE has progressed in reopening FCI Dublin Prison as a detention center? Does anybody know how far that's gone?
No, Gary, I don't think that's public
Okay.
information at this point.
Okay, I will pass that one. We'll look into that and see what we can do to get more information. But as the senator said, they're probably not releasing a lot of information on that right now. Can the AG or local DAs, Attorney General or local district's attorney, prosecute ICE agents who have deported immigrants without due process? I've been hearing that a lot.
So I can try to answer that. I can't speak for the district attorney's office. In general, I think that the most individuals whose rights have been violated are the ones who have the standing to bring suit. And what we've seen under wasn't exactly San Joaquin, I don't think, but there was a raid earlier this year, a large operation, and we did see a suit brought by private plaintiffs it was in Kern to try to vindicate their rights. And so the individuals who are harmed or who have been deprived of due process are the ones that have the standing, the legal standing to bring suit and vindicate those rights.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. If the Constitution and amendments are not being followed by the president, what guarantee does an immigrant have that their rights will be respected,
Those rights
or
are,
any of us?
those rights are guaranteed in the Constitution. And the whole point, I think, of this webinar is to point out that our job in California is to protect the constitutional rights of all of our residents. And that's what the Attorney General is doing. We will try to enforce those rights through the courts. That's our tool for enforcing those rights, and that will be done vigorously.
Yeah, we're all, everybody, almost everybody on this webinar is sworn to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the state of California. So, yeah, that's very good. How can we ensure ICE detention centers are following California health codes? Or do they have to?
Yes, the federal government is required to follow health codes. The California health codes should be followed by California authorities. It will be difficult for California authorities to enforce, but again, that's our job and that's our duty, and that's why the California legislature gave the Attorney General the resources to enforce a federal law and to do the best we can with California law.
I'm happy to add, Gary, if I may, that one of the laws that the legislature passed that gave the AG the authority to inspect private locked facilities in the state actually allows him to go to immigration detention facilities here in California, because all of the detention facilities in California that are immigration facilities are privately operated locked facilities. Pursuant to that authority, the Cal DOJ has conducted 4 inspections. Actually, just last week, we issued the 4th report on this issue. I will include that in the chat. And it does get, not surprisingly, sort of the trends and the findings that we found in earlier reports about substandard health conditions and a variety of other concerns, including lack of access to counsel. This report focused on mental health, but there was a whole scheme of laws that these detention centers and those who operate them should comply with, from state, federal to their own detention standards. So ICE has what's called the performance-based national detention standards. And pursuant to the contracts that private operators have with the federal government, they're obligated to follow this whole spectrum of laws and regulations. So for those who are interested in this issue, I really would encourage you. And Angel has very graciously actually reminded me that we have a briefing on that report coming up on May 22nd. So if there's anyone in the audience that is interested specifically on that issue, we encourage you to please join us. Thank you.
Oh, great. That's good information. Thank you very much. So we have here's an interesting question. What defines a private space on a university campus? Would a dorm's common space be considered private or public, since those spaces are supposed to be accessible only for registered students?
That's a tough one. I don't know that I have like a set answer. I would say for a lot of distinction when you're thinking about private versus public is are people able to enter it just without any additional code? So let's say a dorm like a space, a dorm's common room that still requires someone to, I don't know, be checked in or present their ID or be rung into the space, maybe is more likely to be considered a private space versus maybe like an open area common space outside of the dorms where anyone can walk in and enter. So it's there's no clear answer. It's a little bit difficult. And so that's part of, I think, what the schools are doing is trying to create and delineate like which spaces are private and which are not, and clearly marking those spaces as private versus not. So that it really depends on how the school is marking those areas as well.
So actually, some signage might make some difference.
Yes.
Okay, great. Excellent. Thank you. So the next question we have, what are my rights when I interact with ICE agents? Do I have different rights when dealing with local police?
Sorry, I'm not sure if I understood the question correctly. So is the question, are the rights the same when interacting with ICE agents as with local police?
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm reading it. What are my rights when I interact with ICE agents? Do I have different rights when dealing with local police?
Um, well, I don't practice criminal law, but generally, like we mentioned, constitutional rights are for everyone, and those include police interactions as well. So the Fourth, Fifth, Sixth Amendments, those apply in police interactions as well as with ICE and immigration interactions.
Okay, great. Thanks. How can citizens be most helpful if witnessing the possible detention of an immigrant by federal agents?
I can take that one. I think it's important that if you are witnessing something, that if you are gonna go ahead and record, that you do it at a safe distance, that you are not preventing anything from happening. You can go ahead and make sure that you are recording what is happening around you and your surroundings. So, for example, if it's at a certain street, what time of the day it is. Maybe focus on recording the officers and not so much the person that's being held. And then just making sure that you are going to be able to provide this information if they need it to those individuals, if they need it, maybe not publicize it right away. Again, it can be one of those make or breaks for immigration cases. But I think that that's one of the important things to do is making sure that you are safe, that you're feeling safe. And that's important to always remember. I think that answers the question.
Okay, Well, thank you. And you're going to stay up for this one. Can Catholic Charities assist anyone or just Catholics?
That's always the question, right? No, we serve everyone, regardless of your religious beliefs or non-religious beliefs. We are a social extension of the Catholic Church, so we are here to support everyone. And that we have over 32 programs that run from immigration to healthcare access, counseling, parent support groups. We're just trying to make sure that the world's a better place.
Great, thank you. Yes, I would hope so. Are there any public records from the state or local governments about ICE visits to schools and other public facilities?
Gary, there probably are some, but we don't have access to that information. That would require visiting the ICE website and contacting ICE to ask them that, or some other form of federal government records.
Okay, yeah, and I'd imagine, well, the schools know when ICE has been around, right? So maybe there's a way to collect that information that way. Should naturalized citizens also be concerned by this administration's actions?
Well, Gary, I'll answer that by saying theoretically, no, there shouldn't be any concern. But we've seen that the administration has taken illegal actions. And so it's important for people to know what their rights are so that if something like that happens, that they will know the best response to defuse the situation and to keep themselves out of trouble with unauthorized and trouble that they might find themselves in if they escalate.
Okay, yeah.
Gary, and if I can add something to that, because I know I see it in
Please.
my office more and more. And that's for those that are naturalized citizens that derive from parents. So if you were a minor and you derive from your parents' citizenship, most of the time what you do is you submit a form, it's called an N-600, and that's to establish your citizenship as a derived citizen. But the other way that you can do that is by requesting a passport. And so we are seeing right now that those that did request a passport and they're looking to renew their passport, they are being asked for a naturalization certificate. So our office is recommending that if that is a need that you have, that you do go ahead and see either an attorney or Department of Justice accredited legal rep so that they can help you with submitting your form N-600.
Yeah, I would add this is affecting more people than most people realize. So people you wouldn't expect normally. So
Hi,
how should I?
Gary.
Yeah.
Hi, Gary. I want to add what Marie have said. So because I have experienced that as well. So
Yes.
if you have a child that under 18 that have parent become citizenship before they turn 18, so they have the right to apply N-600. But the problem is, if you apply N-600, you can only apply one in a lifetime. So that is the problem. If they get rejected, you cannot apply again. So the best way is to apply to apply passport. If they require you to you need the parent bring a certificate of citizenship, and they also do a small interview with the agency if they apply for the kind of like expedite service. Like for example, for us in San Joaquin County, we have to go to San Francisco. That's the closest one. The one experience that we face, if you have if the parent of the child are divorced and one of the parent are outside of the United States, the parent have to provide the authorized letter that are certified by the U.S. Embassy in that country. So that is another important information for the folk that want to do that. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's important. How should I prepare my family in case I am detained or deported? I think we went over this briefly. Is there anything anybody would like to add to what was already said?
I can go ahead and add, and I think that because of time constraints, right? I think that everybody can go ahead and have a list of doing all this information. ILRC has put out an amazing little kit so that they can kind of provide everything that you need to know. They have it in multiple languages as well. And that's just a guide to making sure that you have everything there. It includes information on how to prepare, also like a list of documents that you need to have. Like I said before, it is similar to when you're preparing for a natural disaster. You want to make sure you have everything ready. Also, our clinic, our Partners in Clinic, also have one. If anybody needs support with that, Catholic Charities can also support with providing those forms. And we'll make sure that, the senator's office does have that if they don't already.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Well, that was our final question of the evening. If you didn't get your question answered, or you didn't get a chance to ask a question, or you think of something later on, we're going to keep the contact information up on the screen after we're done here. So thanks. And let's see. I want to thank the panelists as well as Attorney General Bonta and his staff for generously giving your time and expertise. Once again, this Zoom Town Hall webinar will be posted on the Senator's website. Our Stockton District office hours, if you need to come in and seek help, are from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m., Monday through Friday, except state and federal holidays. We can be reached at 209-472-9535. I'm going to leave you now, but the contact information screen will stay up for the next 5 minutes or so, or until 7 o'clock. I want to thank you for attending. Good evening.